I'm going to present the message on behalf of the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC to the 8th Regional Conference of the ANC in Thabo Mofutsanyana region. Indeed, those who have been part and parcel of the journey of ANC conferences or happenings, specifically in this region, would understand the historic nature of this conference. Now, in the past, there has never been this democracy that we see today. You would know that you would go to a conference that will be contested on the basis of the credibility of the foundation in as far as holding legitimate BGMs are concerned, and the delegates that will legitimately go and represent their branches to a specific conference. Not only even limited to that, even when you would have been in a conference, a dictatorship of some sort would be imposed on you. You would be told who to elect, who not to elect. Today, this IRC must be given some accolades because it has made the environment conducive for you to freely participate in a democratic process of the ANC. Now, the tendency, Comrade Phoebe, in the past in this region, or in the province generally, was that after every conference, there would be the victims of those who would exercise a different choice from the one that would have been prevented by the leadership. Now, flowing from national conference, provincial conference, and I hope even this one, comrades would freely demonstrate their freedom of choice of leadership without any victimization. So on the side of the Provincial Executive Committee, I want to state it bold. The provincial leadership has no preference as to who becomes a leader, who doesn't become a leader. We must recall, comrades, that both the 54th and the 55th National Conference had resolved that the organizational renewal is an absolute and an urgent priority for the survival of our movement at the African National Congress. Therefore, members of the ANC and its leaders must understand that they are part of something that is far bigger and far larger than their own personal interests. Because the ANC is the property of the people of South Africa. Not of its own members, no, the property of its leaders. Both the ANC and, more importantly, comrades, the National Democratic Revolution doesn't have any inherent right to succeed and to live forever if all of us, its members, its supporters, and its leaders, doesn't work for it to succeed. It is common cause that there are many comrades who are occupying positions of leadership in the movement and in government, who are working against the renewal project of the ANC because they will not qualify to be part of a renewed ANC. It is also common cause that the movement in its current shape is in a crisis because, as I've indicated, it has attracted within its ranks strange characters who are not driven by the revolutionary agenda and the national commitment, and who can't be trusted with the revolutionary ideals of our own movement. Our movement is in a multiple and multi-layered crisis, mainly because of the following characterization that I will put forward. The relationship between the state and the society, the state that is being led by the ANC. Secondly, the relationship between the ANC and the state. Lastly, the ANC and the society that it claims to be leading. How then do we use the state to resolve the fundamental crisis that we are facing as the ANC-led government? How do we use the state to make a meaningful dent on service delivery failures? We can't be failing comrades to deal with priorities around, in the main, the deliverables like provision of clean water, refuse removal, maintenance of basic infrastructure like roads, sanitation network, including electricity. Of course, this had ripple effect because of the instability in the ANC. We have been discussing the organizational decay and the leadership failures over a considerable period of time. And the political price of these perils is the disarticulation of the National Democratic Revolution and the liquidation of the democratic dividends with the disproportionate impact on the poor. The truth is, the ANC is no more attractive. And as a result of that, it will not grow, and this has been my hymn all the time. And if it doesn't grow, the ultimate end is that the ANC will die. The question then becomes, will the death of the ANC have any real meaning to the people of South Africa? If the ANC dies, what is it that the people will be worried about? If it dies in its shape, of course, the people will just say, so what? Because it has no meaning and no relevance to us. Because, comrades, the ANC was established to resolve mainly or primarily the problems of the people of South Africa. Or adversely, it was established to assist the people to resolve their problems. If that is not the case, the relevance of the ANC, the organic link that existed pre-1994 would not be realized. One will therefore argue, as we have gathered here, that we all have a revolutionary obligation to assist the ANC to live longer so that it can be able to fulfill its commitments to the people of South Africa in line with Rule 2 that has been exhibited in its constitution. We can't, comrades, be the political antagonists of the people we are supposed to protect. There's a saying that goes, when the vulture cycles above our organization, it becomes a bad omen for the whole country because The birds that eat the rotten flesh only circles above the rot of the fields, and therefore our unity must serve the purpose of keeping away the vultures and banish the rot we are swimming in. Some people are saying the ANC is at a dead end and the road it is traveling doesn't have the rainbow. This assertion, comrades, can only be defeated if we heighten the political and civic consciousness, and also to ensure that all of us do a critical self-reflection as what positive contribution we are making to safeguard the integrity and the prestige of this movement. This we say, comrades, before us, the 55th National Conference has made a telling reflection and ultimately came to the conclusion that, one, there's a loss of confidence in the ANC because of, amongst other reasons, there's a social distance that exists between ourselves and the people, endemic corruption that we are faced with, nepotism, elitism, factionalism, manipulation of organizational processes, abuse of state power, and self-interest above our people. Secondly, the leadership weaknesses and loss of integrity characterized by the competition to control the state resources. And that goes hand in hand with ill discipline and disunity. Because of vote buying, we have produced leaders who have difficulty in driving organizational programs or even commanding the respect from the society and our supporters alike. Because of the challenges to our core values and our neglect of cadre development, our organizational capacity do not match the tasks and the demands of the current phase of our revolution. And this then demands that our focus has to move back to our core tasks in ensuring that we renew our values, we renew our integrity, and build what is characterized as unity in action. All these factors, comrades, I have mentioned, are contributing factors to the decline in the credibility and the support of the ANC, and we must address them. Those amongst us who had the privilege to attend the 1997 Mafikeng Conference are surely very familiar with the fact that the matter of the defense of the values and integrity of the movement and developing cadres who will be loyal to those values did not arise for the first time at the 55th National Conference in Nazareth, but even from our subsequent National General Council and any other policy conferences since 1997. And as I have stated, the 2021 and those who are observant enough around all these matters must also be able to appreciate the dominant feature of the discussions around the erosion of the values and, of course, the decline in the quality of the membership of the ANC. In the past, there was this that we knew before the legality state of the ANC. We will say, many voices, one message. And you have heard, we are replicating what other speakers have been saying. This, to me, is one of the things that makes me to be proud that there's now beginning to be the real ANC that we know. During the January 8th celebration in 1995, in fact 1985 rather, O.R. Tambo, when he was delivering the January 8th celebration message, he said, I quote, "The strength of any organization lies in the caliber of its individual members and units. And for that reason, the ANC needs cadres of unquestionable loyalty, dedication, and understanding of the struggle." The 48th Conference of the ANC in 1991 adopted a resolution a resolution on building the ANC under a subsection coined on the public image of the ANC. And that resolution said, I quote, "A strong disciplinary code should be formulated and be strictly enforced on all members and deployed cadres of the ANC at all levels to avoid a conduct that could tarnish the image of the ANC." Comrades, to jog our memories, this was the last time a conference resolution that spoke about members who might tarnish the image of the ANC was narrated. And we must appreciate the fact that once the ANC became a governing party in 1994, the possibilities arose that it inadvertently attracted within its ranks people who are not ANC, but only are ANC in name, and the intention is to join it for selfish gain, and Thabo Mofutsanyana characterized them as the staff riders. Since the 33rd years down the line of the ANC, we have failed, comrades, I would argue, to rid the ANC of this kind of fake members, the staff riders, as I have said, whose behavior does not respect the value system of the movement. Just to remind you once more of the formulation of the strategy and tactic that was adopted in 1997. That said, the uppermost in the immediate objectives of these counter-revolutionary forces is to disorganize, weaken, and destroy the ANC both within and without its ranks. And therefore, it is in the interest of these elements that the masses of our people should be left leaderless and rudderless, and thus open to manipulation against their own interests. The current events of jostling for state resources have become a permanent feature and a sought-after political enterprise, resulting in the repulsive tendencies that have had the net result of reconfiguring the character of the ANC for the West. This orchestrated attempt to rebrand the ANC away from its historical and defining character must be repelled and will be defeated by all means necessary. I'm saying this, comrades, because in the recent past, a lynch mob in Bloemfontein has unleashed an insolence to the ANC. But we are up to that fight. They will never succeed. They will be defeated with the determination that we have demonstrated as the Provincial Executive Committee. I'm saying the recent political drama unfolding in Mangaung, comrades, through the acts of these rogues and mercenaries who for the longest period masqueraded as genuine members of the ANC, but having the agenda to commit political genocide and ultimately liquidate the ANC, is the best test case of how the ANC has been infiltrated. This revelation, comrades, need to be attended to with the necessary agility to prevent it from spreading all over. And I'm pleased that, as I've indicated, the vigilance of the Provincial Executive Committee to attend to that matter has been so much impressive. The objective fact is that we as the ANC indeed have not addressed the service delivery failures at both provincial and municipal level where we govern. It has been narrated or ventilated by youth league here. under expenditure, irregular expenditure, appointment of either unqualified or underqualified officials has been normalized in this province. The collapse of troikas and the blurring of executive administration interface all serve to undermine the performance of the ANC in almost all municipalities that we are governing, and we are attending to such. The perennial and stubborn internal factional battles that have crippled the party's influence and its claimed title of being a leader of society need to be attended to as well. Because the state has become an extension of factional battles and parasitic business interests. The norm has become to reject merit, reject experience, and deny opportunity of those who are capable at the altar of factional loyalty. The modus operandi of furthering the financial interests of a faction and its rent-seeking accolades is to capture the entire value system of procurement in all divisions within provincial and local government sphere. Therefore, renewal, comrades, has become an existential imperative to the movement. The Provincial Executive Committee would not just talk renewal, but we will act renewal across all levels. The continuous engagement around the call for organizational renewal is therefore given relevance by the fact that it must be treated as socially critical to locate the ANC at the epicenter of the struggle for the transformation of South African society. Politically necessary, because many political battles can be lost if the strategic focus is not informed by the objectives of the transformation agenda we are pursuing as the ANC. And lastly, and of course, it must be historically urgent, because we need to eliminate all the manifestations of the national operation without any delay. Ill-disciplined comrades will be met with the utmost decisiveness it deserves. The presence of objective, credible, and transparent instruments for assessing the performance of those deployed in implementing the party resolutions and manifestos as translated into government program will constitute part of the recovery journey we are about to travel. Because the journey we have traveled was approaching the inevitable crossroads, and we need to take hard and decisive choices that might lead to us, in fact, that might lead to our detriment or liquidation of the movement, or we have to change the course in which we begin to travel safely and eventually reach our intended destination. Therefore, the period we are currently in necessitates an explosive pace of interventions from the leadership to reaffirm that indeed the ANC is an agent of social change. The Provincial Secretary's Office, in collaboration with the Regional Secretary's Office across the province, will ensure that it provides additional local government educational material and classes to all ANC caucuses to improve and strengthen the oversight capacity of our councillors and MPLs so that we can broaden our influence and the capacity in both spheres of government. Therefore, the culture of hear nothing, see nothing, and say nothing while the movement explodes is history. We can't be the captive of the captive audience and passive observers when the movement is perpetually destroyed, and that, comrades, can't be allowed to continue. The political genocide to obliterate the ANC in this province will be reversed, and we have to unlearn a lot of negative tendencies of the past, which we are called upon to forget. For the future, must never be an extrapolation of the past. The purpose of gathering here today, comrades, must be, amongst others, as an objective, coming out of this two-day convocation, so that all of us are expected to craft a program that is pragmatic, responsive, and unwavering to help our movement to survive the onslaught it is facing and emerge as a trusted, genuine representatives of the interests of the majority of the broadest cross-section of our population. This conference must demonstrate the qualities of the ANC being a prolific messenger of hope, and indeed, this must happen, for we believe that the present is but a synthesis of the contradictory forces of the past, and learning to reflect on our past to inoculate as far as possible for the maladies of the repeating of our previous follies. I therefore, comrades, wish all of you a successful conference with far-reaching positive resolutions to rekindle the ANC and indeed make it a valuable instrument in the hands of the people. Amandla!
Central TV.